In the twilight of thought, where established philosophies cast long shadows, we wander in search of a new dawn. We seek a wisdom not carved in stone, but written in the ever-shifting sands of existence. This is a journey into what we have come to call Transmetaosophy, a way of knowing that dances on the very edges of understanding. The name itself is a map. Ophi, from the ancient Greek Sophia, means wisdom. Meta points to that which lies above or beyond, the principles that structure our thoughts. Our theories about theories? But it is the trance that gives this quest its true character, to move across, to go beyond, to be in a constant state of transformation. Transmetaosophy is not just another room in the grand library of philosophy. It is the wind that blows through its open windows, scattering the pages and rearranging the very architecture of knowledge. It is the wisdom of what lies beyond the beyond. Imagine a vast ocean. Most philosophical inquiry is like charting the islands and continents, mapping the firm ground of being. Metaphilosophy is like studying the principles of cartography itself, questioning the tools we use to make the maps. Transmetaosophy, however, is the study of the tides, the currents, the unceasing flux of the water itself. It suggests that the true nature of reality is not the static landmasses, but the dynamic, transitional ocean that connects and reshapes everything. It proposes an ontology of flow, a world where to be is to become. This is not an entirely new idea. The ancient sage Heraclitus told us we can never step into the same river twice, for it is not the same river, and we are not the same person. Process philosophy echoed this, seeing reality as a symphony of interconnected events, not a museum of isolated objects. Transmetaosophy gathers these currents of thought and pushes them further into a systematic critique of all that we hold to be stable, all that we declare to be fundamental. It asks, what if the very foundations upon which we build our worldviews are themselves in a state of perpetual transition? This leads us to a crucial practice within this inquiry, metacriticality. It is a critique of critique itself. We must turn our gaze upon the hidden assumptions and biases that shape our grandest metaphilosophical frameworks. We must question the very nature of ontology, asking not what is being, but why do we assume being is a fixed state to begin with? This is a path walked by thinkers of deconstruction and post-structuralism, who taught us to look for the ghosts in the machine of language and logic. Transmetaosophy insists that this critical gaze must be relentless, sparing no sacred cows, especially its own. Consider, for a moment, the titan of modern knowledge, the scientific method. From a conventional standpoint, it is a magnificent engine for producing truth, built on the bedrock of objectivity, reproducibility, and the clear separation of the observer from the observed. It is a meta-theory of knowledge par excellence. But what happens when we view it through the lens of Transmetaosophy? We begin to see the boundaries. We begin to see what this powerful method must exclude in order to function. The first boundary we encounter is its insistence on reproducibility. Science, in its quest for universal laws, demands that phenomena be repeatable, predictable, independent of time and observer. But in doing so, what realities does it cast into the shadows? It dismisses the singular, unrepeatable event, the unique historical moment, the deeply personal and transformative experience. By elevating the static and repeatable, it subtly devalues the dynamic and the unique. Transmetaosophy would ask, is this a true reflection of reality? Or is it merely a methodological preference, a choice to study only the things that hold still for their portrait? Furthermore, it critiques the hidden belief that an objective world exists entirely separate from the subjective knower. The scientific ideal of the detached observer is a powerful myth, but a myth nonetheless. We are not ghosts peering into the clockwork of the universe. We are part of that clockwork. The act of observation is an act of participation. Quantum physics has already shown us that at the most fundamental levels, the observer and the observed are entangled in a delicate dance. Transmetaosophy embraces this, exploring epistemologies of difference where the knower and the known are caught in a perpetual, mutual transformation. Knowledge isn't discovered, it is co-created in the transitional space between consciousness and reality. This critique then moves deeper, from the method to the very ontology of evidence it presupposes. The scientific method seeks fixed laws and stable variables, aiming to capture reality in a net of equations. Transmetaosophy would argue that this is like trying to capture the wind. It proposes an ontology of flow, suggesting that reality is fundamentally in motion. The laws we find are not eternal truths, but provisional stabilizations, momentary snapshots of a universe that is constantly unfolding. Evidence is not a solid brick. It is a wave, contextual and forever in flux. Even the concept of linear causality, that A causes B, comes under scrutiny. This is a static abstraction, a simplification of a far more intricate web of relations. We might instead explore what could be called transcausal relationships, defined by interconnected transformation and emergence. In this view, every cause is already being transformed by its effect, and every effect is already latent within its cause. They are not just separate points on a line, but a single, indivisible process of becoming. Finally, Transmetaosophy forces us to confront the question of epistemic justice. Who gets to define good science? Whose knowledge is valued, and whose is dismissed? The scientific method, with its emphasis on quantification, abstraction, and a specific kind of empirical data, has historically created a hierarchy of knowing. It has often marginalized other ways of understanding the world: indigenous wisdom, experiential knowledge, the insights born from perspectives that don't fit neatly into its established categories. By applying a meta-analysis to the very structure of science, we ask if its framework creates systemic injustices, silencing voices and excluding truths that emerge from the boundary crossing. Trans experiences of life. Now, for the most challenging part of this journey, turning the lens back upon ourselves. This is the discipline of self-reflexive praxis. Our own inquiry, our own methods, our own assumptions must be perpetually subjected to the same critique we apply to the world. In our own attempt to chart this philosophical territory, we tried to draw a line, to distinguish genuine criticism, the kind that seeks to improve and understand, from what we might call professional criticism, which can be driven by commerce or personal judgments. So, essentially, we set up a boundary, a meta role. A transmetaosophical analysis would immediately challenge this very dualism. It would argue that our neat separation is an illusion. All critiques are transitional acts. The most genuine critique, the moment it is articulated, published, and shared, enters a social economy of ideas. It can become a source of reputation, influence, or even income. It begins its transformation into the professional. Conversely, the most professional critique, to have any impact, must tap into some kernel of genuine insight. The boundary we tried to draw is not a wall, but a permeable membrane, constantly being crossed and reformed. The awareness that our own distinction might be a biased judgment. Is the self-referential loop the meta turning back on itself? But Transmetaosophy doesn't stop at just acknowledging the bias. It uses the awareness to transform the very understanding of critique. The wisdom-osophy we gain from this self-reflection is profound. We learn that the intent of the critic and the social effect of the criticism are not separate states, but phases of a single, continuous process. The true insight is this: critique is not a static category. It is a dynamic act defined by its transitional nature. This is the essence of Transmetaosophy. It is a way of thinking that refuses to stand still. It is a commitment to seeing the world not as a collection of things, but as a chorus of processes. It is the courage to question our most fundamental categories, and the humility to allow our inquiry to be transformed by what it finds. It is a wisdom born of movement, of crossing boundaries, of embracing the beautiful, terrifying, and unending flow of existence. It is a path that has no final destination, only the ever-receding horizon of the beyond.